Okay, DJ Devin had left a comment on the last video and mentioned something about that he was getting a grinder. So he's been watching and commenting. Great subscriber, always got thoughtful comments, very interested, pays attention to the details of things, and just asked if I would make a video on angle grinders. So I thought I'd make a quick one here, just kind of going over the basics. By no means am I an expert on angle grinders or anything like that. So the one thing I can't stress enough, and before you talk about anything about a grinder, you got to talk about safety. Very first thing with safety is eye protection. So you want to get some good glasses, safety glasses. These are ones that have a wraparound lens on them that's important. Another option are these guys here that basically have a soft enclosure that it presses up against your face to keep things from coming out. They also wrap around. I've actually never said anything about this on video, but over the last 5 years, I've made 2 trips to the eye doctor for getting metal in my eye. And one of the trips, I actually had to go to a specialist because I waited and it was hot metal and it impregnated itself in the retina. And I had to go in there with a little grinder, no pun intended, and grind it out. And, basically, while you're awake, they open your eye up with a little device that goes in and spreads your lid apart, and they go right in there with a grinder. You can see it coming right in there and grind it out of there. But so cannot stress eye protection enough. A lot of welding helmets have a grinder mode on them. You can change the mode so that they don't auto darkening. Those are great. One of the things that you run into with grinders, especially a cutoff disc, is that the disc can actually explode on you. So not just your eyes, but your entire face. You could catch shrapnel. So keep an eye on that. Speaking of that, I have clamps here listed as safety. I've got vice grips. This is a can't twist clamp. The reason I have these as part of the safety discussion is whatever it is you're going to grind or cut with a grinder, make sure you have it securely mounted if you can. You'll see me sometimes in videos picking something up and grinding on it or cutting something off, but highly not recommended, because I can easily get jerked out of your hands, thrown back in your face. So it's best to clamp down whatever you have, throw it in the vise, clamp it down to the table. And that's why you see me with a bunch of different kinds of clamps and sizes and shapes, and so that whatever job you got a clamp that can be used for it. Hearing protection. I don't do this enough. I don't really wear this too often. My ears aren't that sensitive, probably from listening to too much loud music over the years. But but you'll see Matt in a lot of videos. He's always got these on because his ears are sensitive, and of course you could use these. And lastly, depending on what you're grinding and how much of it, I'd highly recommend using a respirator. This is a paint mask, and as I think Velvet Hammer mentioned recently in a video, that he will use his respirators for painting once the cartridge goes bad, after so many days, probably 30 days. It stops filtering out the contaminants and the chemicals, but you could certainly use it for a dust mask. So all important things for safety. I'm sure there's many other things as well. Just wanted to touch on before you pick up a grinder, consider all these things and be safe with what you're doing. Okay. One last thing to mention on gloves. I didn't mention gloves, but you'll see guys a lot, not grinding or, using their bare hands on things. And, you really need to avoid that. And also just take care of your gloves and make sure you replace them when they need to be. You see that right there with a hole busted in it. That's what happens. You forget about it. You got the gloves on, you forget that hole's there. The next thing you know, you touch something, you get a blister or a cut or whatever. And then also with spark showers and stuff with grinding, the longer gloves, like welding gloves that come up, higher on your arms for better protection. So just wanted to add that in there about the gloves. Okay, so that's the discussion on safety. Now we're going to talk about the grinders themselves. As you can see, I got a few different ones here, and you may be asking, why do you need so many grinders? Well, these are you can find these on sale at Harbor Freight for like $8 or $9. And you know, yes, they're not that good. Yes, they vibrate. They're not in balance, you know, but they work for what I need, and I almost never need them, right? But when you do, you just need it quick. You need to round out a hole, or you know, smooth something down, take some material out in a hurry in a tight spot that these other tools don't work. And so, you know, for a little bit of extra money, I can have, you know, a sharp pointed rotary carbide. This is one meant for aluminum, you know, and so if you try to use this on aluminum, all it's going to do is load up the you know, the teeth on it, and you won't be able to use it. And then here's a larger, you know, rounder one on a more beefier grinder. And the same thing with the, you know, the other angle grinders. But I think what DJ is going to get, and what we're going to talk about, is just the regular electric 4.5 inch angle grinder. So for medium to light duty work, you know, for what we do for automotive stuff and just general shop use, these are the most universally used, you know, size of grinders. They make a 4 inch, they make a 5 inch, a 7 inch, and I think, you know, on up even bigger than that. And if you keep all those different sizes, then you got to keep all the, you know, the tooling and discs that go in them. You know, so but if you just have one size, then you have, you know, then you don't have to have so many different discs. So same thing with that, with this, you know, I've got one with a cutoff disc on it. I've got one with a fine grit flap disc, and this one's got a coarser grit flap disc. Obviously that is a more beefier unit. You can just see by the way it's built, it's got a lot of torque, heavier duty. You know, it's really meant to be used with two hands, because the trigger's down here. You'd have your, you know, your hand handle either mounted here or here, however you're using it. I don't ever use it like that. I just, you know, and in fact, I don't use this one hardly at all anymore. You know, because for most things I need to do, I want to use one-handed, and I like these mainly because the buttons on the side, you know, and it locks itself into place. You don't have to, you know, squeeze it and put in the extra button. And you know, if you got it sitting around, you know, it won't automatically trigger itself. So just a lot of you know, a lot of advantages to that. So what is all this, you know, what do we use all this stuff for? Well, obviously this is a 4.5 inch cutoff disc, meant obviously for cutting metal. You know, you can cut off round stock, you can cut the heads off bolts, you can cut sheet metal with it, you can cut, you know, angle iron, pretty much anything you want. You know, you're not going to get a real precise cut with this. This is just meant for quick rough cutting, or if you got, you know, small shapes or whatever that, you know, you can't use on a chop saw or any of your other cutting tools. This works out perfect for this, and this is probably one of the things that I use most in the shop. And so I'm just going to show you here. You know, if you mount this thicker disc on here, you know, one of the things I see guys do often is when they weld something on a panel, like on a quarter panel, if they're welding in a patch or whatever, is they'll actually, you know, they'll take one of these and just start grinding, or, you know, or one of these, and just start grinding all over the whole weld and the panel itself around it. Well, it's great on the weld, right, because you got material to move down, but the surrounding sheet metal is already very thin. So now you've just sat there and ground that even more thin, you know, and you just weaken the structure of the panel by doing that, and especially if it's in an area that needs to be welded again. So what I do is a lot of times is, you know, use one of these type discs on the grinder, and as you can see here in the video, you know, turn that up on its edge, and by, you know, by pinpointing, you know, where you're actually grinding at, you can you know, grind right on the weld, because you're using the, you know, the thin part of the disc rather than on it flat going around like that. So so anyway, and then there's just regular grinding. You know, I like the flap disc. I almost rarely use these. The flap discs are more expensive, they wear out quicker, but they you know, they leave you with a very nice surface finish. These guys tend to really gouge out the metal, and I mean, if you were doing, you know, road construction or something like that, and, you know, needed to take down some big beefy welds or whatever, then these, you know, these would be okay. But, you know, trying to do anything with sheet metal or on thinner steel, the flap disc is really the way to go. So anyway, I'm sure there's a lot more things that, you know, that could be explained about the grinders and all, but it's just basic use. Hopefully some of this information helped you, DJ, and for anybody in the future that happens to watch this video, hope it helps you as well. And I'm sure that you know, people that are you know, watching this channel that know how to use grinders probably have a lot of things that I missed, and I would appreciate it if you'd go down in the comment if you have a tip or anything I missed. Just put it in there. Would love to see what it is, and you know, I'm sure DJ would as well. So hopefully that helps, DJ. Thanks, everybody. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you is just you know, is just the actual discs themselves, and you saw a couple of them on the grinders there. But you know, as Tommy Shoe says in many of his videos, you know, buy in bulk, people. You know, this is stuff I bought off eBay in large lots. You get volume discounts. You can also get it off of Lehigh Abrasives. They have great discounts. Every rare once in a while, I'll see something in a retail shop. You know, like this pack right here might have been on sale, and I picked it up just because I was walking by, and you can never have too many of them. You know, same thing with this one, a 2-pack there of those flap discs. I want to say that was like $6 or something on an end cap sale. But so you got flap disc, you got the regular, you know, cutoff disc here that, you know, that I talked to you about. You got wire wheels that can fit on there. You have to be very, very careful with these. In fact, I'd really probably recommend against these on a regular, you know, 4.5 inch angle grinder, and use these on a 4.5 inch buffer where you can control the RPMs on it. You know, so the as far as the actual tools to change the disc, you've got this style, you know, here that's kind of the older style that you know, pretty much universally fit, and then the DeWalt's use an Allen key that you know, you can use, and the nice thing about that is that, you know, if you ever lose your regular tool, a 7/32 Allen key will do the trick on that. So anyway, so there's all the abrasives and different discs and things that you need. One thing to watch out for on these type here is there's specific ones for metal, and then there's also some for masonry and for concrete and for tile. They've got different ones of these. So make sure when if you buy something like this, look on there. It'll tell you that, you know, whether it's made from metal or not. All right, appreciate all the support and comments, and I hope you found this helpful. Thank you.